Hi, fifth grade. I'm going to be doing the Module 2 Lesson 12 lesson today. So this one is going to be probably the easiest lesson that we have done this week because all we're doing is estimating and then multiplying decimals that go into the hundredths place. So today we're not doing any area models, so it's going to be a much shorter lesson than yesterday's. And for this lesson, we're going to do three sets of problems, or we're going to do a set of problems with three different equations and then a second set of problems with three different other problems, but we're going to see some similarities between these three and then these three. And I also have your problem set and homework right here. Again, please make sure that you are always following along either in your notebook or on your desk and that you are actively listening to my lessons. So let's get started with Module 2, Lesson 12. So our first step is that we need to estimate. So on your desk or in your notebook, I would like you to kind of set up this two-step process because step one is always going to be estimate for this lesson this week or for this day. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this problem right here, 2.31 times 22. I'll write that real big over here so you can see it. So 2.31, 2 and 31 times 22. And my first step in estimating what my product is going to be for this is I need to round 2.31. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round it to its largest place value. So in this case, that would be the ones place. So in this ones place, it's either going to stay at 2 ones or go up to 3 ones. I know if it's going to go up or down or not if I take a look at this next place value. If this next place value is above 5, at 5 or above, it's going to round up. But it's only a 3, so it's going to stay at 2 ones. And I just have to write 2 ones in my first spot. So I would like to see that you have this blank multiplication symbol, blank equals blank, on your desk or in your notebook, so I can see that you're also estimating along with me. Your whole problem set and your exit ticket is going to ask you to estimate, so make sure you get used to this. Then for my next section, I'm going to have to round 22 and put that in this space. So again, I round to my largest place value, which in this case is my tens place. So it's either going to stay at 2 tens or round up to 3 tens. Remember, you always just add 1 to whatever this is. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So it's either going to round down to 2 tens or stay or go up to 3 tens. I look at this number right here, it is less than 5, so that means it's going to round down. So I only have 2 tens, which is 20. I'll write that there. Now I can multiply, so I do 2 times 20. I can think of that as 2 times 2, which is 4. And then I have 1 0 to add. So my answer, or my estimate, is 40. So that means that 2.31 times 22 is going to be about 40. It's not going to be the exact answer, but my answer is going to be somewhere along that. So now I need to do my standard algorithm. Again, you're not doing area models for this lesson. You're just doing standard algorithms and estimating. So let's get started with this. So I have 1 times 2, which is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Then I need to make sure I add my 0. And then I do 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And 2 times 2 again is 4. I can now add up everything. And then I have 2 plus 0, which is 2. 6 plus 2, which is 8. 4 plus 6, which is 10. And then 1 plus 4, which is 5. Remember, your answer is not 5,082. I have to make sure my decimal comes down. And I get an answer of 50 and 82 hundredths. If it helps you, you can still write your standard algorithms like this, where I do 231 hundredths, and then you multiply everything. So I'm just going to kind of write this on here real fast. But if you wanted to, you could still write it like this and have everything done and have the unit next to it instead of bringing the decimal straight down. And then down here, you would write the unit hundredths. So you have 5,082 hundredths. And then you would just rewrite this number with the decimal in the correct spot. So if I had 5,082 and I know that this 2 needs to be in my hundredths place, this is in my hundredths, this is in my tenths, which means that my decimal has to go right here. So whichever way helps you out, that is the way you can do your standard algorithms for today. I'm going to erase this work and I'm going to move on to the next problem. So now that you learned how to do this and you followed along, you should be trying these problems on your own and then fixing them along with me. So I'm going to erase all of this and then set up our next problem, 2.31 times 221. Erase all of this. And let's get started. So we have 2.31 times 221. Now you may notice some similarities between the problem that we just did and the problem that we're doing now. The only real difference is that we now have 221, but we still have some very similar numbers, and our decimal is still just the same. So remember, 2.31 is going to round to 2, and we still need to do our estimation for this problem right here. And then I have 221. So remember, I underline my largest place value, which is the hundredths place. I know that it's either going to round down or stay at 200s, or it's going to go up to 300s. Since I just have a 2 right here, that means it's still going to round down to 200. All right, 200 right here. And then I'll multiply like I did before. So 2 times 200 would be 400. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I have 2 zeros that I need to add. So I know my answer should be close to 400. After that, I need to set up my standard algorithm. So I have 2.31 times 221. Remember, when you're setting up your standard algorithms, your numbers should all be lined up, like your digits should be lined up, but place value isn't really going to be an issue until later on. So right now, while it looks like you're lining up a hundreds place with a ones place, it's all going to work out once we get down here. So let's start multiplying. Remember, I would like you to pause the video, try this, and then replay the video and fix whatever mistakes you may have made along the way. So I have 1 times 1, which is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Then I need to add a 0. I do 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. So again, very similar to the last problem that we just did. Then I have to add 2 zeros because this number is in the hundreds place, and the hundreds place has 2 zeros. I do 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 times 3, which is 6. And 2 times 2, which is 4. I can now add everything up, and I'll move my camera down a little bit so you can see what this looks like. So I have 1 plus 0 plus 0, which is 1. 3 plus 2 is 5. 2 plus 6 plus 2, so I'll think of this as 2 plus 2, which is 4. And then 4 plus 6 is 10. Carry the 1, leave the 0. 4 plus 6 again is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. And then 1 plus 4 is 5. Now remember, it's not that I have 51,000. 51 is my answer. I have to make sure that my decimal goes into the right spot. So I'm going to have my decimal go straight down. And I get my final answer of 510 and 51 hundredths. You got this answer? Great job. We're going to move on to the next question in this set, which is 2.31 times 201. Again, a very similar problem. So I'm going to erase what I have here and then get the new problem up on the board for you. So I have 2.31 times 201. Go ahead and pause the video right here and try to estimate and then solve this problem. You can replay once you have those steps finished and see if you got it right. So I round 2.31 to 2 and 201. Remember, I underline that largest place value, so it either stays at 200s or it rounds up to 300s. In this case, since this is a 0, it's going to round down because that is still less than 5. So I still have 2 times 200, which is 400. And that tells me that my answer is going to be somewhere close to 400, just like it was close to 400 in the last problem that we did. And now I need to multiply. So I have 2.31 times 201. Remember, you want your digits lined up, but place value doesn't really matter too much just yet. Now I have to do 1 times 1, which is 1, 1 times 3, which is 3, 1 times 2, which is 2, and now I have to add a 0. 0 times 1 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, and 0 times 2 is 0. Now, I know the 0 step is kind of silly, and multiplying everything by 0 is silly because you obviously know it's going to be 0, but we want to make sure that we're not forgetting how many zeros we have to add down here. So that's why I like to do that step and make sure I don't miss anything. Now, for this last number, last factor, we have to multiply that out. But before I can do that, I have to make sure I add those two zeros. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4. And now I can add everything up. That's 1, 3, 4, 6, 4. And I have to now figure out where does my decimal go. So my decimal comes straight down, and my answer is 464 and 31 hundredths. Make sure that you have your decimals in your final answers, or it won't technically be correct, so please make sure you get that decimal down there. Again, I can check my answer because if I take a look at this, it is close to 400, and that would mean that my answer is reasonable, most likely is correct. So I have my answer right there and all of my work. Now we're going to move on to set 2, which has some different numbers, so our estimations are going to look a little different. I'm going to erase what I have here and set up your new problem, which is 495 times 1.11, or 1 and 11 hundredths. That's Now I need to estimate for these, so please pause the video and try to do the estimate parts and the standard logarithm parts on your own, and then replay it once you want to check your answer. So 495, I'm going to underline my largest place value because I need to estimate and round. I can either round down to 400 or I'll go up to 500 because 4 plus 1 is 5. And since I have a 9 in my next place value, that is bigger than 5, so I need to round up to 500. So I'll put a 500 here. And then I have 1.11 here. So I underline my largest place value, which is the 1 in the 1 space. So it's either going to round down to 1 or go up to 2. Since I have a 1 right here, that is less than 5, so it's going to round down to 1. So my answer for my estimate is going to be 500 times 1, which is 500. So I know my answer is going to be somewhere close to that. The reason we do all of this estimate step is because this is going to help you figure out if your answer is reasonable or not. Because if you get a number that is way off from this, then you know you might have gone wrong somewhere and you should redo your math. I'm going to do the standard algorithm now. So I have 495 times 1.11, and I can start multiplying. This should be a real quick one. So I do 1 times 5, which is 5. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 4 is 4. Add 0. And then I need to do 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 4 is 4. Then I need to add 2 zeros and continue multiplying. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 9 is 9, and 1 times 4 is 4. And I can finally start adding everything up now. I have 5 plus 0 plus 0, which is 5. 9 plus 5 is 14. I carry the 1, leave the 4. Then I have 1 plus 9, which is 10. 10 plus 5, which is 15. And 15 plus 4, which is 19. So I carry the 1, leave the 9. Then I'm going to do 1 plus 9, which is 10. 10 plus 4, which is 14. Carry the 1, leave the 4. And then I have 1 plus 4, which is 5. I now need to figure out where does my decimal go. And I know that has to go straight down. And my answer is 549 and 45 hundredths. You got that one right? Awesome job. Keep up the great work. And we're going to continue on to the next problem. So I'm going to write that on the board for you. And we just have this one and the next one to get through. So keep it up. Again, we're going to start with our estimate step. So your problem now is 0.98 times 495. As you might tell, this problem is still very similar to the last one that you just did. We still have that 495, and we just have a decimal that's a little bit less than the one we just went through. So let's round 0.98. So my biggest place value is technically the 0 right here. So it's either going to stay at 0 ones or go up to 1 1, because 0 plus 1 is 1. Since I have a 9 right here, that means my number is going to round up because it's greater than 5. So this 0.98 is going to round up. So 1, and then this 495 again rounds to 500. And 1 times 500, just like last time, is 500. So again, I know my answer should be close to 500. I am going to set up my problem, but a little bit different from this one. I'm going to have my decimal on the bottom, so I don't have as many partial products I'll have to guess. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I have 495 times 0.98, and I'm going to start multiplying. So I have 8 times 5, which is 40. 9 times 8 is 72 plus 4, which would be 76. Then I had 8 times 4, which is 32, plus 7 is 39. Then I need to add a 0, and make sure you cross off those numbers that you use. Then I do 9 times 5, which is 45. And then I do 9 times 9, which is 81, plus 4, which is 85. Then I do 9 times 4, which is 36, and 36 plus 8 is 44. And now I can add everything up. The reason why I didn't want my 495 in the bottom is then I would have to have 3 factors on the bottom that I would have to multiply. But if I have 0.98 as my bottom number, then I don't really have to worry about that 0, because then this whole bottom line would just be zeros. I'm going to start adding up now. So I have 0 plus 0, which is 0. 6 plus 5 is 11. 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. Then 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. And then 4 plus nothing is just 4. So I then have to figure out where does my decimal go in this number. And that would go straight down and become 485 and 10. So I don't really need to worry about the 0 if I don't want to. I could just say my answer is 485 and 1/10. That is the answer to this one. If you got this one right, awesome job. We're going to move on to the very last problem for today's lesson. And this one, again, is kind of similar to the one that we just did. We're still going to have that factor of 495. So I have 102 and 64 hundredths times 495. So this 102.64. It looks like I have a ton of numbers that I'm going to round. It's going to be a lot of work. But remember, you just have to worry about this number that's right out in front. So we just need to worry about that one, the largest place value. So this number is either going to round down to 100 because it's in the hundredths place, or round up to 200s. Since I have a 0 right here, that means it's going to round down because it's less than 5. So my answer is just my estimate, my rounding is just going to be 100. Now I need to take my 590 or my 495 and round that, and we said that that was 500. So 100 times 500, I think that as 1 times 5, which is 5, and then add 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. And my answer should be around 50,000. So now I need to actually set up this problem and start multiplying. If you haven't already, please make sure you pause the video, try this on your own, and then fix it after after you finished it. So let's take a look at this problem. I have 102.64 times 495. I usually like to have the number with the least amount of digits on the bottom, so I don't have to do as much multiplying. If I had it the other way, I would have to multiply each of these 5 factors by 495, and that's a lot of work. So try to have the number with the least amount of digits on the bottom. You'll still get the same answer either way, though. So we're going to start with 5 times 4, which is 20. Then 6 times 5, which is 30, plus 2, which is 32. Then I have 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 3, which is 13. So I carry the 1, leave the 3. Then I do 5 times 0, which is 0, plus 1, which is 1. Then I do 5 times 1, which is 5. So right here, your first partial product, erase that into the nicer, is 51,320, or if you have your decimal down there, you can think of it as 513 and 20 hundredths. Then I add a 0, and now I do 9 times 4, which is 36. I carry the 3, I leave the 6. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 3 would be 57, so I carry the 5, I leave the 7. Then I do 9 times 2, which is 18. 18 plus 5 would give you 23. So I carry the 2, leave the 3. 9 times 0 is 0, plus 2 would be 2. And then 9 times 1 is 9, and I can just leave it like that. I'm going to erase my numbers at the top that I've been borrowing for regrouping, because I have some more space right now. And then I'm going to continue on with 4 times 4, which is 16. So I carry the 1. Oops, I made a big mistake. I need to make sure I add 2 zeros right here. And now I can do 4 times 4, which is 16. Carry the 1, leave the 6. 4 times 6 is 24. So I carry the 2, leave the 4. Then 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. So I carry the 1, leave the 0. Then I do 4 times 0, which is 0, plus 1, which is 4. And then I have to do 4 times 1, which is 4. Oops, 4 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And then I can do 4 times 1, which is 4. Now I need to add up all of my numbers. Let me pull this down so you can see it a little bit better. And we're going to start adding. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 6 is 8. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 plus 6 is 16. Then I have 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 5 plus 2 is 7. 9 plus 1 is 10. And 1 plus 4 is 5. So it looks like I have a ton of numbers right here, but I need to figure out where my decimal goes, so I bring that straight down, and then I have my answer. I'm going to pause this real quick. Hi, fifth grade. So I realized I made a mistake in that problem. So what I did when I got to this very bottom partial product, when I got to 4 times 6, I think I messed up somewhere and I just did it as 24, but actually I was supposed to add a 1 at some point. So it would have been 25, and I should have had a 5 right there. And then when I add everything up, it would come out to 50,806 and 80 hundredths. So this is actually the correct answer. So if you got this, then you did it correctly. If you got this, then I guess you didn't get it correct like Miss Ghost. But I was able to go back, find my mistake, and then put it up here. So this is your correct answer for this problem. Now, if you got all those right, awesome. If you need any help, please make sure you raise your hand and ask for help. Your problem set for today is going to be number 1, A through B, and then number 2, A through H. So the first page has number 1, A through B, and it says if you would like to do an area model, you can, but you don't have to. It's just estimate and then do the standard algorithm. Then for number 2, A through H, that's the back page. And on that page, it's all estimating and then doing the standard algorithm. So everything that we just did right here. Remember, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. I will be walking around the classroom to help you out. Great job.